Guys, it's been a while. I just came back from Blitz tournament. You know how much I like Blitz. And finally I won in the tournament. I'm not in a good shape lately. Even in this tournament, I was playing very suspicious until the fourth round, and then I won all the games, which is good. I came back pretty strong. What I want to show you was my game against young, very talented and strong FIDE master from my country, Petr Spasic. He's 2350 FIDE. And this was a crucial game, ninth round. Who wins the game? He gets the first place. Guess what? I played Butcher the Sicilian, so I really crushed him so bad. And I gotta show you because there is a novelty in comparison to the course. I made some very, very nice analysis and stuff there. I actually have to be honest and to say that I borrowed the idea from Gadir Gusinov from Azerbaijan, who's a well-known top GM who actually plays these anti and side Sicilians. And finally, you're about to see a fantastic tactical sequence from the game. Once again, who hasn't gotten the Butcher the Sicilian? It's time. You still have your time, you still have your chance, and basically it does work even after 3 years after I published it. So let's get started and let me just show you the game. So I went for e4, c5, knight c3, knight c6, and bishop b5. I really enjoy Butcher the Sicilian, and I feel very confident when I play my own system, especially in the last game, last round, the crucial one, decisive game. And he went for the knight e4. Of course, you know that we always want to take on c6, and simply they're not supposed to allow us that. When he played knight e4, I played knight f3, as you know. That's the main line in the course. They can just take on b5, you recapture by knight, and those positions are pretty good for white. My opponent went for e6, castles, and a6. It's, of all the variations that I played so far in Butcher the Sicilian, the most common one that I get in practice. After bishop d3, there are two types of reactions. I played against in Eric Hansen Chessable Blitz game in Mexico last year in Tulum, and Eric played knight e7 here, although my opponent went for the knight c6. I already played quite a big number of games in this variation, played against Motilev, coach of Nepo and Karyakin, in a pretty massive game. I was better, and eventually in mutual time trouble I lost. I played against a strong GM from Poland, Kacper Piorin. I lost that game. And then I won all other games. So I played against Anayam Radovanovic, I played against Anayam Velichkovic, Anayam, so many games. And I just had to tell you the ones that I lost. And here in the course, I covered, and I was the first one who actually came up with the idea of knight d5. Afterwards, you could have seen this game and this position in the games of Gawain Jones and some other guys. Although, in all those tournament games, I went for b3. And now I just had something that I borrowed from Grandmaster Gadir Gusinov, and I went for a3. a3 is a very interesting idea. I just want to break on the queen side with b4. As you know, in this position, since we have a little bit unusual deployment of our pieces, they just go with g5. And I guess that the whole idea of a3 is absolutely aimed against g5 or g6 ideas. If you remember in b3 systems, when they play g6 or g5, you just play bishop b2, and after bishop g7, you exchange. And the fact that you exchange those dark square bishops, okay, you're fine. You're just a little bit better. But it's a little bit boring game. With a3, it's way more interesting. My opponent went for g5, but let me just show you what happened in a game between him, so Gusinov playing white, and my student Grandmaster Zajic. The game was played in Romania 2 months ago. Zajic played g6, Gusinov played b4. And after this move, I believe he played g5, I apologize. But the same thing happens after g6, b4. And after it takes, and knight before bishop b2, knight d3, c takes d3, bishop g7. And in this moment, he just went with e5. e5 to jump with knight e4, knight e6. Zajic put all his hopes into g4 move. Gusinov played knight e4. And after fantastic move, I mean, absolutely unexpected. After this, check. Doesn't seem to be working queen f3, but he actually had an amazing bishop a3. Point is, you can't play knight e7 because of queen f3 and its mate. And the point is, if he goes what he actually went for, knight b7 and winning the queen. That was the miniature, and actually I borrowed his idea, and that's why I keep telling you I borrowed that idea and applied it in my game. So that's the new thing in comparison to the course. After b4, my opponent went for g4. I played knight e1. Watch out, that could be a weakness from now on. And he went for knight e5. He just wants to go after my bishop on d3. I said, okay, I gotta keep it up. I played bishop e2 and the guy went for d6. I played bishop e2 because that's one of the most important things about this variation, because you just place all your pieces into the action, and what's your point here? You just want to parry out his bishop on the diagonal, create some threats with either f4, bishop g4, or d4 at some point. He played bishop g7, and I said, okay, I don't see a reason why shouldn't I take the pawn on g4. Well, I was sacking the pawn on b4 all the time. He didn't want to take it. I said, okay, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to take it. Why shouldn't I actually take that pawn on g4? So when I played bishop g4, my opponent at this moment brought this knight back to c6. It's a good move because he opens up his bishop on g7, opens up the knight on c6, and gets like full control of the d4 square. I said, okay, I wanted to play knight d3, but then I saw some c4. So that's why I played b takes, d takes, and played knight d3 with tempo. I played knight a3 with tempo, threatening this pawn on c5. If he now goes with c4, I might be going with knight f4, bringing the knight back to e1, or even some crazy knight excursions with the knight c5, but he just went for solid b6 in order to play bishop b7. Here I played a very strong move, and believe it or not, this move decided the game. It hasn't decided the game in a like in a classic sense of that word, but actually that work won the game. But look at this. All of a sudden, I just have like a very nice pressure against the b6 pawn. My opponent went for bishop b7. I played knight a4, threatening so many things. I'm threatening knight takes b6. First of all, I'm threatening to take the bishop on g7, but I'm threatening knight c5, knight b6. These knights are so powerful. So he went for knight d4. And he went like very convincingly when he played this knight e4. And I guess he didn't expect that I would take and give up the monster bishop on b2. But well, when you give up the dark square bishop for the knight like this in the center, you gotta have concrete reasons. He played queen d4, and now I saw that after knight b6, he can go with a rook d8, and he can go with c4 afterwards, and somehow to get some sort of complications in the game. So I said, I'll play knight ac5 with tempo. He can't take because rook on b1 will decide. So he went for the bishop c6. I took on b6. I was already like 3 pawns up. And now he played bishop b5. Look at this. All of a sudden, he threatens to take on d3, to either take on c5 or take my rook on b6. And when he played bishop b5, psychologically during the game, like in the seat, he just started to move like, okay, I might be having some chances. Here, since most of these moves I were just mostly like blitzing out, I just had to calculate something, and something crossed my mind. I said, king is weak, e6 square is weak. Yes, he does threaten bishop d3, but I gotta come up with something very concrete. And finally, And luckily I calculated something properly, because just like I told you previously, I wasn't in the best shape in the last couple of weeks. So I played bishop takes e6. I sacrificed a piece. He took on d3, so now he's up a piece for 4 pawns. Now I'm sacking another piece. Bishop takes f7. Okay, he didn't take it, so I sacked that bishop anyways. He captured, and I played queen h5. That was a crucial move of the game, because king really looks weak. He can't go for king e6, king f8 because of knight e6, and I win the queen. He went for the king e7. I played rook to b7. And here, he couldn't go with either king f8 because of knight e6 or king d8 because of knight e6. So he went here, I played rook to d7, and he resigned the game. When you make such a beautiful game in the last round, made a new line, an improvement over your course, used the top idea of the top GM, Gadir Gusenov, I'm talking about him. And on top of all that, you make all these sacrifices to win the tournament. I guess there's no better feeling. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the game. Stay tuned, and there are going to be like many more new interesting opening novelties. Thanks, and see you.